Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. I'm speaking with stunt fight extraordinaire, Rick Sordelet. Now, is Sordelet? Sordelet. So how'd you get into this? How do you start doing something like this?
You know, I started when I was in not really high school. I played sports in high school, which was great. You know, it put me in my body.
That's definitely a good training for something like this.
It is. And then it started as an actor. And I went to University of Wisconsin Superior.
Acting, yeah.
I had a mentor named John Munsell, who was a great acting teacher, and then a guy named Albert Katz. Mm-hmm. And Albert Katz was the only American to have a book on stage combat. So I went into his office as a freshman, and I just, was kind of full of beans, and I was like, I should be your assistant. And he just looked up at me and was like, who are you? And so anyway, long story short, it was really the acting training, having a fencing background and martial arts background.
Oh, you fenced, too?
I did fence in college, which was a lot of
See, in my
fun.
neighborhood, fence was someone who bought stolen goods. I had a fencing background myself. I used to buy stereos, whatever. So you've done it all, then. I mean, so physically, now, do you do the martial arts and stuff like that, too?
I did. I studied Yurichi-Ryu, which is an Okinawan karate, and then I did...
Yurichi-Ryu? That almost sounds like something out of an Austin Powers.
Is that what Mr. Miyagi did?
You know, he did a version of that, but I think it was something like that. When it's got that Ryu, usually it's from Okinawa, and it's a really great karate. And we had a guy who was a lot like Mr. Miyagi, and he was just great. Yeah. And he was like really wise, you know. And I was up in Duluth, Minnesota, which was the NORAD base, and so we had a lot of these guys that came from all over the world. And he was a guy who had been in Okinawa for 20 years. And he was like our mentor, and he was really wonderful and taught us a lot. And then I did Aikido, which is Japanese, and then Tai Chi.
Wow. So now, how do you get into the world of Broadway then? You just.
Then I went to Rutgers University, went through the MFA program with Bill Esper, who's probably arguably one of the best acting teachers that's ever been in our country. And he was great. And then, you know, what you do is you start to say, okay, I'm going to take this one sentence, behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And with the background that I have as a fight director, that's how we'd start doing things. So it's kind of like what we did, John. We just started sort of working off of each other and saying, well, what would I do if, what would I do if? And because I spoke that language so well with actors, I became very popular with people in the business. And they started saying, you know, we want this guy. This guy really gets how actors work. So rather than trying to approach it from an athletic point of view, I approach it from an
acting. Yeah,
right on the money.
Right, yeah. Yep. Well, it is, because show business is like that. It's a business of personal relationships. I mean, I know if I had to do something like that over and over again, as sensitive as like fake fighting, I'd want a guy I was comfortable with and that I actually liked to teach me how to do it, you know. Because, again, I've done it a couple of times. I made the mistake. One time I was in a sketch in Mad TV, and I was playing a good cop, bad cop thing. And I was playing the bad cop, and I had to beat up a suspect, trying to beat a confession out of him. And I don't know if I got this from being a kid, but every time I punched him, I made the noise with my mouth. I go, bam, like in a Batman episode, and they had a cut in front of the audience like 4 times. Like, what are you doing? Oh, like I was like a natural reaction. Go, bam! See, and I did it like 4 times.
I would have kept it. I would have argued for that, to say, you know, he's got a natural inclination to do it. Let's make him the cop that every time he punches somebody, he makes the noise.
Right, the real bad cop, the cartoon character.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then they finally taught us that thing you're calling a nap.
Yeah, a nap, yeah.
They taught us how to do that. And it's funny, when they're teaching you how to do that, you go, well, no one's going to buy that. But then when you do it as well as you do, it does. Like what you did with him before, it sounded like a punch.
Well, if you do it right, it's like David Copperfield. It's like a magician doing great work, and the audience is fooled by it, and, you know, it's an illusion of violence, and it can be really exciting when it's done well.
Have you ever had someone who just didn't get it, and it turned out horrible to where, like, you couldn't even look at it?
You know, that happens on occasion. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times people will say, oh, yeah, I saw so-and-so's, you know, dance choreography or fight choreography, and it really was terrible. And you're like, well, was it the choreography or was it the execution?
Right.
And if you watch the execution, you go, you know, the choreography is quite beautiful. It's just executed poorly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes there's that.
Right, exactly. I mean, listen, you could teach people all you want. Sometimes they just are not going to get it.
Well, here's the key.
That's why I'm impressed, you know, with what you, I mean, Mikey, I mean, I got the same problem, too. Me and Mike are not... Oh, we're not young Ronaldo Nehemiahs, I'll just say this as nice as I can. And you know, Mike's 52, but I mean, it looked very, you know, you made him look agile and stuff. And
you take what they have and you work with the very best of what you bring to the table.
Right.
And then you stay within a confidence level so that everybody feels confidence. The last thing you want is an actor who's up there going, I don't feel good about this.
Yeah.
Then they start thinking about that as opposed to rooting themselves in the reality of the doing.
By the way, Mike left an impression in the cake that is extraordinary. It's the ugliest cake I've ever seen. I mean, it really, Mike, your face is in that cake. Like you know, it's kind of like your version of the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh yeah, maybe this is the beginning.
This is Boschetti's face in a cake.
Like the Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of Cakin. You know, the Shroud of Gluten. It's the Mike Boschetti Shroud of Gluten. Well, Rick, how do we find you? Is something you're plugging? You got a website or something you want to talk about?
Actually, the thing that's happening for me right now is there's so many different things. As you know, in show business, you can't just be one thing. You can't do that. So
whatever you got. What do you got going on?
I'm actually an artistic director with two other guys, Joe Mancuso and Jim Vias, and we have a theater in Rahway, New Jersey.
Great.
Can I tell you, Rahway,
I'm from
New Jersey,
Union. I'm right next to Rahway.
I know, and you know that the
state
whole
prison. That's what's known for.
The city of Rahway, as so many cities in New Jersey are experiencing, it's turning into this beautiful place.
Right.
And it's 30 minutes away from the city.
It's a tough town, man, Rahway. It was when I was growing up.
You know, you'd be surprised coming back. You'd see a whole different kind of side to the sound. And we got a beautiful 199-seat theater down there. And the three of us are artistic directors. You can find us at AmericanTheaterGroup.org.
Awesome.
And then I started working with a writing partner. I can't tell you what we did yet, but we sold a TV series and a screenplay to a big company out in LA, and the news will break. We got a big director who's behind it, and we're really excited about that. And it's something that's different. You know, there's no other fight director doing what I'm doing right now, and it's really cool to see that happen.
It sounds unique. So how do we find you on the internet? Rick, where do we go?
Oh, you just go to Rick Sordelet.
Rick Sordelet.
You Google that, and you'll see all kinds of stuff come up.
Rick Sordelet, great job, man. This was fun.
Oh, Artie, it was a blast being here, and I got to say, I'm a real fan.
Oh,
and
thanks,
have
man.
been for years. You know, really dug everything on, from Howard Stern on. It was really a treat, and when our mutual friend Sue suggested this, I jumped at the chance.
Yeah, it was great. I appreciate you doing it, and it was fun. Maybe come back and maybe to choreograph something with me and John.
Oh, I'd love that anytime.
but of course, because it's fiction, maybe I beat up John. Rick Sordelet, check him out in Rahway and anything else. Thanks so much, man.
My
we'll
pleasure.
be back with the Artie Lange Show after this.